Hi friend, welcome. I want to talk to you about something very important. It is profoundly valuable and something that many of us don't often think about. I want to offer you maybe some new perspectives in your mental health, in your mental well-being. I'm going to do that through talking about psychic sovereignty. And that may be a new term for you, psychic sovereignty. Maybe you've heard of spiritual sovereignty. Maybe you've just heard of physical sovereignty. But today we're going to explore what it's like to have sovereignty of your mind, of your spirit, of your emotional body. And my hope is that in this conversation, maybe there's some tools, maybe there's some support and guidance here that can help you in strengthening your psychic sovereignty. The psyche is somewhat complex in ways because it's the description of the interior world of your mind, of your being. And this is your spiritual being, your mental being, your emotional body. You know, the way that you perceive the world, the way that you emotionally respond, the way that you think, you know, that's your psyche. It's also your intuition, the way that you're able to interact and feel and sense beyond yourself. The psyche, I like to think of the psyche as being an individual's world, an interior world. So this is my psyche. I have mine, you have yours. And there are ways that we can enhance and expand our perspectives and stretch and grow and transform the shape and the understanding, the capacity of our psyche. And there's ways that we can strengthen the integrity of our psyche, our spiritual inclination, our emotional body. So there's the psyche. Now, psychic sovereignty, what does sovereignty mean? Sovereignty is an ownership. It's a sense of belonging. It's a sense of knowing that this is mine. Maybe there's some boundaries in place. You know, this is within my field of ownership. You know, to have sovereignty of your physical body means this is mine. I decide what happens here. I'm the one in command. I'm the leader here. And I decide who enters into my physical field. And for any of us who have dealt with abuse or inappropriate contact with our physical bodies, we may have to learn and strengthen through our lives the importance of having physical sovereignty of the physical body, to say, no, you don't get to touch me or have access to my physical body unless I invite you or welcome you or give you permission, because this is mine. And for some of us, we may associate boundaries as being painful or stressful or negative. You know, if I'm setting a boundary, I'm cutting someone out, I'm hurting their feelings, I'm abandoning them. No, sovereignty, to have that sense of knowing and ownership and confidence and empowerment with what is yours is a necessity. It's a necessity for you to thrive, for you to know that this is mine. And it's up to me to be healthy. It's up to me to interact with what feels right for me. I deserve to feel right. I deserve to feel good, to feel clean, to feel empowered. So that's an example of sovereignty. Now, if we blend those together, psychic sovereignty, we're talking about the mental, emotional, spiritual beingness of you, your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, your psyche, and having a very clear understanding that that is yours. That belongs to you. You have control. You are the one in charge In the same way that you're the one in charge of your physical body, you are the one in charge of your mind. You decide what feels right, what doesn't feel right. What do I allow in? What do I not allow in? You use discernment. You get to choose. Now, why do we have a weakened sovereignty in our psyche? Why is it possible and common for us to not feel empowered in our mental health, in our emotional health? There are a lot of reasons, but I'm just going to focus on a couple. What happens through our lives, and more concentratedly in certain cultures, certain demographics, certain households, we actually separate from that empowered ownership and belonging within our psyches at a very young age, for many of us. And for many of us, it happens in the household. It happens the way that we're raised. It happens the way that we're parented. And essentially, you have to do as someone else tells you. You have to follow the leader. Ideally, we are parented in a way that someone is listening and sensitive to what our needs are and helping us get our needs met, especially if we're able to speak up and say, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I don't feel good, I need a hug. But a lot of times we don't get our needs met. We don't get the support we need. And so when it comes to tending to our mental health, to our well-being, to our emotional well-being, we learn to turn it off. We learn to say, okay, well, that's not important. Someone else is telling me I have to stay awake, or someone else is telling me we're not going to eat right now. Someone else is telling me I have to go to school when I would rather rest. We lose touch with that sense of confidence in what is ours, in our psyche, in our needs, our mental, emotional needs. Extending that into the schooling, into how we are taught and raised within an organized educational system or institution, where we have to go to school, we have to sit down, we have to listen to the teacher, we have to sit still, we have to memorize this information, and then we're tested and graded, and if we have to use the restroom, maybe we're told, no, you have to sit in the chair. When in reality, what's happening inside of you, physically and emotionally and mentally and spiritually, may be something radically different than what you have to do in order to receive acceptance and approval in school. So, for example, maybe you have to study math. You have to memorize all these math equations, and it's really hard. And your mind is creatively wanting to color pictures and draw things out. That's wrong. You need to focus on this. Stop goofing around. You need to focus. Maybe you weren't goofing around. Maybe your psyche was feeling curious and exploring and putting different pieces together, but instead you're being told no, there's a wall being built between you and what's happening inside of you, and now you're rerouting and doing as you're told. Okay? And as I explain this, there's no blame to our parents who are doing their best. There's no blame to the teachers who are doing their best, who are doing as they're told. Everyone is just trying to do their best and follow the rules. And the psyche doesn't always follow rules. It doesn't always have a grid system or a track or a linear pathway that it works. The psyche, again, it's the emotional body. It's the spiritual body. It's moving, it's expanding, it's sensitive, it's feeling, it's breathing, So in order to strengthen that very important boundary around your mind, around your psychic self, to say, this is mine and I am reclaiming this. It may require you to contradict the part of you who feels that you're doing the right thing by receiving everything from everyone, by social media telling you how to think, by the emotional response you feel when the media is telling you something. And I say social media because that's a big one. That's a way that in present day we can really identify where we're not being sovereign beings in our mental state, where we are scrolling. And the algorithm, in a sense, is like the commanding teacher that's saying, watch this, read this, watch this, read this, take this in, now this, now this, now this. And very easily, you're not empowered. You're just sitting like you did in school and you're just taking it all in. When in reality, that may not be right for you. That may not feel good. That may not feel comfortable or be what you want to absorb into your being. Because the psyche is constantly absorbing. Think of your eyes being these receptors, like your mouth receives food, your eyes are eating. They're really absorbing and taking in what they experience. So if you're just scrolling on social media and you're just mindlessly doing it as you're told, you're not necessarily empowered in your mental state. And you may be emotionally responding. And it may be intense emotions. You may have fear and anxiety and anger and lust and just the feelings. It's a radically fast and intense experience. So to embody sovereignty in your mental health, in your spiritual health, in your psyche, it will require you to set a boundary, to say no. And if you are actively addicted to your phone, to the media, to scrolling, it's going to be very empowering and maybe challenging to stop, to enter into a state of consciousness and empowerment and presence and say, no, I don't want this. I'm not going to absorb this into my being right now. This is my mind. This is my spirit. This is my brain. This is my beautiful, powerful, emotional body, and I'm not going to take that right now. It's not mine. I get to say no. And in the same way, in your physical body, you are a sovereign being that gets to say no. You get to say no. You don't have to take in everything that's happening. You don't have to watch everything. You don't have to hold it. And if someone else is going through an emotional experience and you feel like it's your obligation to respond and to join them and to, whether that's your partner or a family member or a close friend, that's just, there's a lot happening emotionally, you get to also have discernment and say no. That's your internal world. That's your mental health. I have mine. And it's up to me to be responsible for what is mine. I like to think of the psyche like a garden, like this environment where there's a lot happening, a lot growing, a lot of seeds. And there are ways to tend to that garden of the psyche. And if someone is out of control and wild and crazy, that's theirs to tend to. Each of us have our own little plot. That's theirs. If they're not watering their garden and not taking care of it, we can encourage them, but ultimately that's up to someone else to regulate themselves to take better care of themselves. Your psyche is your responsibility, it's your garden. And you decide, how do I want to feed this? How do I want to tend to my mental health? How do I want to decide what is good for my mind? What's not good? And claim your sovereignty. It's possible that at some point in your life you were not empowered. You didn't have the power to decide how you spend your day and what you engage in and what you think about something. Maybe someone is projecting onto you and really training you to think a certain way. This is your life, your body, your mind, your psyche. You put your foot down. Step into your power. You decide. How do I want to think? How do I want to feel? It's up to me. And really consider taking a break from your phone, from the media, from all of the chaos, the cacophony of what's happening. Just take a breather. Consider meditation. Consider looking outside, going into nature, letting your eyes interact with the fresh green of the natural world. And take good care of that garden, that's yours. And it can thrive. You know, your psyche can be a very incredible, vibrant space. Okay, I hope that helps you. I hope that gives you something to work with, to think about. You got this.